Right, so I started to make this video because there's quite a bit of interest in obviously the old leisure drive conversion. I've got a leisure drive van, it's a Type 25 or a Type 3, whatever you call it, and I decided to take out the units last year and give it a good revamp. With the interest, I just decided to do a few videos. The first video I'm going to show is actually taking off the roof lining at the top of the carpeting, sort of above the front of the cockpit where you drive. So I'm taking off the aluminium bar that holds the carpet onto the top. When I've taken this off, you can see I'm using quite an old drill. Most of my tools are quite old anyway. As it comes off, you'll see that it's bent to shape, sort of bends around to the shape of the roof. Luckily, this is a convertible, well, pop top, whatever you call it, not convertible. But obviously, once I've taken this off, you can see the curvature, and obviously it's held on by staples as well. It might seem pretty easy, obviously I'm just taking the carpet off and then replacing it, but there's a way in which you do it. I found out that the best way to do it is obviously get a Stanley knife and sort of go along the bottom edge of the carpet. Don't go along the top edge, it's the worst thing you can do. If you go along the bottom edge, obviously if you've got a conversion like this Leisure Drive 1987, I think it was converted in, then obviously this is how it's been done. So you can give yourself a little bit of carpet to pull against on the actual staples. So the next bit shows me ripping the carpet out, and you can see that the staples are sticking up proud. If you don't give yourself enough carpet to rip back, trust me, it's really hard to do. So basically what I've done is I've left a little bit of a lag there so you can pull it back. But one of the other reasons I've taken the carpet out and I was going to replace it with other stuff is because as it gets older it gets really flaky, and as you're about to see in the next clip, if I rip this piece of carpet you can physically see the dust coming off that. We went camping in it a couple of years ago down to Hereford, and you could tell that there was dust in the air just coming off the old carpet, so it's really good to replace it now and again. So as you're ripping back the carpet, obviously watch the staples because they're really dangerous. They're quite sharp as well. You can see that they've put a former in on the roof. This is to take the staples and to keep the shape of the carpet, but what I noticed is they've also put like, not French seam, but some sort of a fold back as well. So they're not just putting carpet over carpet, otherwise it'd tear. So they've folded the carpet back over itself before they've stapled it. And this is something really interesting that I found out. So doesn't the roof look really clean inside, like it's just come out of the factory? It's great, isn't it? Obviously you've got a couple of hardwood strips down the side, and obviously I'm looking at the back there now to some of the work that I've done on the van. But looking back at the front, to take the front mirror off, you just twist it and take it away, and there's like a twist fitting on the front, so that's easy enough. That had me stumped a bit because I thought it was screwed on. Well, that was fairly easy to take off, but I'd already taken the carpet around it anyway, and then just obviously proceed to take out the last staples. So I really just did the videos to give you an insight into how Leisure Drive used to do these conversions, and maybe you've got a panel van that's got maybe a pop top that you need to put some more carpet in and doesn't actually have it and it's just glued to the roof. If you glue it to the roof, that's fine, you can do. But the best way of doing it is probably how Leisure Drive did it back in the day. Yes, the roof wavers a little bit. You can put some insulation there as well, but all in all, I started to do this project and obviously it's coming up really well at the moment, albeit there's a long way to go on the project, and I've started to do various things such as the windows, the interior, the original Leisure Drive sections made of GRP, and you can see on the back side I've folded into the corners. The carpet is really malleable. It's like a four-way stretch, I think. Obviously I've purchased it from a company, quite a local company, and you can see it works absolute wonders for the van and looks really smart. So any of those hard to work areas and edges you can get round. Don't get me wrong, you've got to have quite a skill to do this. So the next section I've set up is how to bond the carpet to a plywood section, and obviously this is the underside of a seat that was originally placed in the Leisure Drive van back in the day. I've not changed this in any way, shape or form. The only thing I've done is rip the carpet off it and glue new carpet onto it. First thing you've got to start with is obviously ripping the old carpet off the old. This was just glued on, no staples whatsoever, so it was fairly easy to take off. You can see that I'm not really struggling with it at the moment because there's not much surface area for the glue to adhere to. I've left a little bit more on mine and they've been a little bit too tight, I think, on their initial coverage. At last managed to get the carpet off after quite a struggle. Obviously the next thing to do is to put that one aside and then get the carpet. There's two sides to the carpet. The carpet has a hard side and a soft side. The soft side is obviously the carpet that you see. So you want to be bonding the hard side to the hard substrate. So what first thing I was going to do is obviously to fold over the carpet so it's facing the opposite way and get your substrate down ready to be glued on. Now, just to go over the tools, I've got a stapler just in case I need it. I've got a knife, I do have a pair of scissors, and I have some spray glue as well. So I'm positioning just to check the size of the carpet, and I'm also positioning to cut the size of the carpet as well. The spray glue that I'm going to be using, it's like a high temperature glue and it's pretty good stuff. You can get a variety of this. I use it in the industry, but obviously it's quite dangerous as well, so you do need to wear a mask when you're spraying it, ironically in this day and age. So obviously you've got to spray onto the edges first, and then once you've sprayed the perimeter you can then spray and fill the middle section as I'm showing in the video. You don't need to really put too much onto this, but because it's adhesive, I'd recommend you do spray it onto the carpet as well. You can get away with not doing that, but you won't get very good results and it might start peeling off after a few years or even a couple of months to be honest. So do it properly. Obviously get the carpet now. Once I've cleaned the grass up from the glue, make sure it's facing hard side up, and then proceed to spray your perimeter around the edge first, and then sort of as a frame, and then spray inside. I always find that's a lot easier because it prevents overspray. If you can do this and work sort of up to the frame itself, it's quite a handy tip really. This might seem a little bit strange because I'm doing it on my own, but if you position it at one end of the piece first and then sort of like lock it down so it sort of adheres to one edge of it, you'll see what I'm doing in a minute as I'm putting it down. I'm then going to peel it up at both edges. This is purely because you should really bond from the centre outwards, and then it eliminates any folds or creases. So you can see the finish is fairly smooth. I'm working from the centre outwards. As I work around the piece, you can see I'm pushing out all the air, all the creases, keeping a little bit of tension on it as well at one end, just in case. You can just see that little crease towards me that's starting to form a little bit. That's easily done. I wouldn't worry about going over the hinges. These were the original hinges that Leisure Drive put on the plywood in the first place, and this is how they did it in the end. And what I'm going to do at the end of the video, you're going to think, oh hang on a minute, how are you going to lift up the lid? Well, this is a little myth that's going to be busted at the end of it. So I've turned over the piece now and you can see the back side, so ready for the next stage of the process. So I'm just putting some little relief angles in now, cutting. It's the wrong angle, but it does help a lot. And I'm also pushing from the outside edge in. So I'm basically fixing the edge down before I fix the back. This helps with creases and so forth. I'm doing the same on the sides as well. This is an interesting part now. So as I start to fold over the front edge, what I'm going to do is, you've probably seen the aluminium box section in front of the photo at the foreground. That was something that was actually taken out of a UPVC window at our house before we got new ones, and I'm actually running it down the strip so it holds the carpet down, just to get it in at the edge, because there's like a little return edge on that on the front of the seat base that obviously Leisure Drive put on there years ago, just as a little cap to stop it sliding backwards. Obviously it's fixed down anyway, it won't slide backwards, but you can see that I'm cutting angles in now, following the actual roughly 45-degree cut. Well, this bit looks a little bit rough and ready, and I'm not going to lie to you, I did struggle with this section because I was a little bit unsure as to how to fold it back. Managed to do it in the end, but you can see that as I'm laying down the carpet it looks pretty rough. I'm just doing it rough for the time being because I've not quite sorted out how I'm going to do it. I'm actually doing it as I go along. I've not really researched into how to cut the angles as such. All I know is that I need a really good adhesion with the carpet to the plywood at this stage. Well, this is the stage in which I'm cutting a little bit off the carpet, sort of a tag end, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to actually use a staple gun to staple this tag end down. It's not too bad. You don't see it because it's underneath. I could have done a little bit of a better job at this, to be honest with you, but it's what you do at the time just to give it some more security going forward. So the square section angle aluminium also has a good use as a straight edge, so the messy mess that I've made is now going to be tidied up as if by waving a magic wand, nicely cut straight with a knife, the best that I can. I must admit as well, upon doing this you do get through a few blades, and it's something that I'll mention later on in the video, but once you're looking at the finished product, it looks pretty neat for something that you don't actually see this, because this is the underside of the seat base, which actually houses the rock and roll bed on the Type 25 Leisure Drive conversion. So you don't actually see this neatness that I'm doing at the moment, which is a real shame, to be honest. So just got to do the opposite corner now, so I can do that first, then I'll flip it over, as you can see. And as you may well tell, I've actually glued up the hinged part, so the bit with the cut that allows the part to hinge, I'm just going to demonstrate how to cut that down now. You feel for the ridge and then you cut down the actual line, and then go off the end, and you can see that now hinges up quite nicely to form the seat. Thanks for watching.